Hello, my name is Kathy Swindell, and I'm here to talk to you today about enlarging the conversation. Susan Scott states that the conversation is the relationship. Communication is continuous, it's simultaneous, and it's complicated. With a combination of self-evaluation tools, interpersonal communication manuals, and interpersonal resourcing, I have now discovered where my weaknesses manifest and how to manage them. We talked about in this course about an overarching goal. For me, my life goal is to be a Christian counselor, and what that means for me is that I want to be not only a leader, a healer, but a servant. My goal is to have the or to mimic the heart of Christ, and that involves having excellent communication skills, especially when it comes to listening and dialoguing. When I thought about this project, immediately I thought about where your communication skills should really start. It should start at home. And the reason why I thought about that is because right now, when we're talking about enlarging a particular conversation, well, I have one that is going on with my family at this time, where my grandmother, she's 95 years of age, and she has Alzheimer's disease and dementia. And we're having difficulties as a family coming to an agreement on placing her in a home, when, to be more specific, when to place her in a particular home. My mother and I feel that now is the time to place her in a home, and the reason why is because we are involved in her primary care on a daily basis, and we see that she's at a place where she is in harm's way, being home and not being able to get fast medical attention that she needs. However, her brother, which is my uncle, he's the other sibling, he does not feel the same, and there is a constant conflict with us trying to get her into a home. I do want to talk about my behavioral blend. After doing the Uniquely You assessment, what I have come to find out is that I am an ISC personality type. What this means is that I tend to worry more than others. I also, I have great empathy skills. I have great empathy skills. It's probably based off of how I was raised. I overuse my analytical skills, which is a problem, and I often think too long or too much about solving a problem. The positives with my, when it comes to enhancing this particular conversation, the positives about this is that is the empathy portion, that I'm easy with empathizing with individuals, but it's much easier for me to dialogue than to debate, which is something that we don't need in this particular issue. We should be trying to find a common goal to help my grandmother, not trying to be in a situation where one or the other has to win the conversation. It is also very easy for me to open up in conversations as well. I'm very easy to, it's easy for me to self-disclose because I often want you to feel that we have some type of connection. The negatives, however, about my behavior blend, I would say, would be that I tend to take on other individuals' problems. And we actually, this was a part of the Peterson text when we talked about the talker listening cards, where we should actually listen without judging. And also that we don't necessarily have to own the other individual's problem. So that was something that I learned from the Peterson text. Let's see. We also talked about, or one of the things that was asked would be about our background with our behavior blend. And when I think about my background, I think about how I was raised. My grandmother, the same grandmother that has Alzheimer's, she raised me. My mom, she was 30 when she had me, so she was a single parent. And I said that like anybody who's 30 should be a single parent. I'm sorry. What I mean is that she was young at the time, and she just happened to be a single parent, and my grandmother was the one that took responsibility for me. My grandmother encouraged me to ask questions, which is a great thing. Another thing is that my grandmother, because she was consistently in the presence of older individuals, she taught me how to respect my elders, please and thank you, yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. I was not able to back talk individuals, something that they say, don't back talk her. And I wasn't able to go against another elderly person because I was just a child. When I think about that, I think about how this affected me as far as when it comes to barriers. When it comes to the conversation with my uncle, because he is my elder, I tend to not want to debate with him. I tend to want to dialogue with him. However, I'm a biased listener. When it comes to a biased listener, what that means is that I tend to shut down when keywords are presented. That means in this particular instance, since we've had this conversation over and over again and it's not changing, when I hear that the conversation is going the same place again, I check out. And I am an emotional listener. I can't help that for some reason. I think that also ties in with empathy. I tend to be flat brain or easily flat brain and can do the flat brain tango easily. And I'm learning how to not do that. I'm also an interrupter. When something I hear doesn't sound right, immediately I want to interrupt and try to get some type of clarity. However, in this conversation, I haven't been able to. It tends to kind of ignite my uncle instead of get clarity, and it becomes a degenerative spiral, and it's like we can never get to a resolution. I've identified and I provided some solutions to the noise pollution. And for me, in my particular situation, noise pollution is when a talker or a person in the conversation becomes too loud or they become defensive. My goal now is to try to reel them back in and to increase my level of listening, because maybe the reason why they're actually getting louder is because of something I said, because I wasn't actively listening to them, because my mind went off into a biased level of thinking or listening. I also want to say that I am work pressures as well, because I have a lot of things going on. That may have caused me to have a low tolerance in the conversation, and so I'm trying to also include that into trying to resolve this issue. And another thing is plan of action. What I'm planning to do at this point is to listen to myself. That is a must, because I'm finding out that I did not or wasn't listening to myself when I did the Burley-Allen assessments. I'm finding that I wasn't having true self-awareness. I'm also going to try to increase my level of listening. I am definitely working on the flat brain syndrome and tango. I also need to learn how to emphasize without owning a problem. And the laugh active strategy, which was in one of the research projects that I researched, journal articles that I looked up. And what it taught me is that the laugh, and this is something that I'm actually going to try at our next meeting along with the talker listener cards. Listen, empathize, and communicate respect. Ask questions and ask permission to take notes. I'm going to focus on the issue and find a first step as well. This class has been extremely beneficial to me, and I'm going to keep this information. This is not something that I'm going to throw away. Definitely not, because I do want to be an excellent Christian counselor. And so I do believe that working on these, now that they've been brought to my attention, can only enhance me and put me on the correct path. And I thank you so much for